Howdy small fries, I'm back with an update for Bubble Cugs. This isn't the official video on them yet, but this video is letting you know that the open beta is open and available to anyone who joins the Discord. I specifically want you to join the Discord because if you're going to give me feedback, I need to be able to see it, and Discord is the best way for me to be able to do that because I always have it open. Anyway, this video is going to go over the steps and rules that are available for now. This is beta, so some rules will be added or changed, so if you're viewing this video and it's been more than a month, then look into the comments and see if there is an update. Remember, to join the beta, you should join the Discord. Alright, so let's make a Cug. Since I'm the creator of this stuff, I'll be reading it word for word as it is on my site. The artist for all the art shown is Dorian Lover. You can find them on artstation.com/Dorian Lover. They created the original species and these original materials, but have since given everything over to me. How to make a Cug, and design rules. So, you're probably obsessed with the species to some extent because you're still watching it here on a separate video. You browsed the lore on the website maybe, you've checked out the traits, and you're finally ready to get started. That or you skipped all of that and just jumped to how to make one because you're like a Cug out of water. Thirsty. I see your comments. I know what you are. Anyway, welcome Slug and Cug enjoyers to how to make a Cug, alongside some rules on what you can and can't do. Now, keep in mind, rules are for canon Cugs. They have a pretty strict setting, they live in a non-industrial village-like setting, something like you'd see in ancient Greek. You're free to break rules, but don't expect to be able to participate in the community on the same level as quote-unquote official Cugs. For this, I recommend making 2 Cugs, one canon and one non-canon. How to make a Cug. We're starting with making a Cug, because I think it's easier to work with them and work backwards. A Sluggy is a Cug with less features, but for the sake of lore, Sluggies would usually come first. This video will not be going over Sluggies, because I haven't gotten around to that part yet. The Cugs is the important part. You can just look at a Slug and go, okay, it doesn't have these, so I'll just exclude these and make the Slug. Anyway, part 1. The basic shape. We can't really get into the design aspect or traits until we have a body to attach the traits to. Cugs make this choice pretty easy. Due to their squishy and blobby nature, they can take on the body shape of all human body types as well as some less common humanoid shapes. For examples, check out the very scientific diagram I have to the left here. For now, just focus on the body and the head shape. With the head shape, Cugs have a slight muzzle when viewed from the side, and their heads tend to be bigger than, average for their body. Some important things to note. Cugs don't have feet. Instead, legs taper to a rounded peg-leg sort of structure. Cugs don't have paws or claws, and wouldn't know what they are due to having no natural predators where they live. Paw pads are kind of exclusive to predator creatures out in the wild, because, for example, bunnies. Bunnies don't have paw pads. It's because they don't need to walk silently, like a cat does. Cug forearms are wider than their upper arms. Cugs who use prosthetics use primarily natural materials. They use natural materials for pretty much everything. Be aware of the trait list as you go, which I will put a link to there's a link to all this stuff in the comments and description. And just make sure that you're not accidentally using uncommon or higher traits because I am not sure how I'm going to distribute those higher rarity traits. Cugs can be depicted in NSFW content, but please do not share them outside of adults-only spaces. Cugs can be male, female, or kale. You can check the lore and stuff for what that is. Basically, kale function like clownfish. Cugs can also be transgender. And 100% and always, even though Cugs are allowed to be in NSFW content, Sluggies are not. Do not put the slugs in any NSFW content whatsoever. It's kind of weird. Sluggies are considered the babies of the species, so depicting them in an NSFW content, weirdo behavior. Part 2. Peepers. Unlike Sluggies, Cugs have eyes and they are big. This is the first step with traits, so take the time to check out the page on pupil traits. I will show the available pupils on screen here. Just keep in mind that currently Cugs are restricted to just the traits that I'm showing. There are other traits that are depicted on the site, but please stick to just open stuff as I don't know how I'm going to distribute uncommon and rare stuff. Rules. Cug pupils are white. The iris can be any color. Scleras are always white. That's the white part of your eye. That's always white on Cugs too. Do what you want for lashes. Heterochromia, where one eye is a different color than the other, is allowed, but pupils must remain the same shape. You can't have one heart-shaped one and one star-shaped one, for example. You want to have those anyway because those are rare traits. Part 3. Hairstyles. Cug quote-unquote hair, for lack of a better word, come in two different types. Strands, which are shown on the left here, are thin and noodly, kind of like anemones or tentacles. Chunks, shown right, are more like tendrils from the tendril trait section, which we'll get to later. Think something similar to Splatoon characters for the Chunks one. They start thin, widen out to a plumpy look, and then taper to a rounded point. I think they kind of look like bananas. You can mix and match both of those types for a different, more unique style if you want, and there are no restrictions on specific hairstyles other than the universal rule of please don't use patterns or non-trait aspects to emulate traits. Part 4. Cute snoots. Cug snoots are their most identifying feature, which is kind of funny because bubble is what's in their name. Pug noses look like cow noses, but are more firm, kind of squishy. Some important things about the design of their nose to pay attention to. Cug noses don't have nostrils. Cug noses are large, almost as big as their eyes, covering up most of their mouth, and you can't really see the bridge of their nose from behind it. Part 5. 10 out of tendrils. Not much in the way of rules for this part. Check out the tendril list that I am showing on the screen now, and pick one of the open pairs that you like. They can be in any position you want, as long as they stay on the Cug's head. Tendrils are just like, they're kind of like those, like if you see in a sea bunny, they're the two parts that like really stick out. They're just like the hair, but they're more stylized. I like to think of them as ears. Part 6. A Tale of Tails. Again, no real rules here. Just pick one from the open options on the tail traits list. The tail traits that you have available to you right now are on screen. Part 7. Flair for the dramatic. Currently, choose up to 3 flare traits from the flare traits list. It's up to 3, so you can choose less if you want. Again, the only ones available to you are the open ones. Many of these traits can be present anywhere on the body, such as body tendrils, so feel free to move them around where you want. But body tendrils can be on your ankles, shoulders, pretty much anywhere but your head, because then they start to mimic the other tendrils. Part 8. Aren't bubbles great? Bubbles are the namesake of bubble cugs, which is kind of funny considering they aren't present on sluggies, and there are multiple unique traits that are just as prominent, such as the nose or tendrils. Bubbles are still very important to Cug society and life. A Cug's bubbles are a hollow dome with the appearance of a glass bubble being half submerged in their flesh. The liquid inside being a mixture of water and magic from their origin life spring. You can learn more about this lore on the website, or you can wait for the video to come out. The color of the bubble, shape, and position can all have an effect on a personality of the Cug, as well as their position in society. Cugs with multiple bubbles are more likely to become priests, priestesses, or other similar official positions like matrons. Check out the bubbles on the screen here, and choose one bubble for your Cug. Only one. And you can have it be anywhere you want on the body. Head, chest, stomach, thigh, arm, wherever you want. Step 9. Fill in the blanks. Now to fill in the blanks, which is pretty much just coloring things in. There are no color restrictions, but I highly recommend using gradients while keeping a small, simple palette of 3 to 5 colors maximum. You don't want to overcomplicate it, and I'd suggest staying away from too many neon colors. Like, there's neon colors that are present in sea slugs and stuff like that. Just like, try to not make it hurt people's eyes when you color them in. But again, it's your character. Do what you want. It's just a suggestion for, aesthetic purposes. And the last bit, some more rules. Don't steal other people's adopt designs. Do not make Cugs who are remakes of characters from other properties. For example, no Captain America Cug. No hate symbols, words, or patterns. So that's of course, like, you can't put swastikas on your Cug and stuff like that. And I say no words because I don't want you to spell a bad word out on your Cug, but also because Cugs wouldn't speak pretty much any of the languages we use right now, so it wouldn't make sense for those words to be on them. Do not hybridize Cugs with other species, regardless of whether they're real or original. Adult sexual content of Cugs is allowed, but only share them in adult spaces such as the adult chats on the Discord. And lastly, I've gone over this rule at the beginning because I wanted to make sure to cover it up front. Sluggies do not have sex and are to not be depicted doing so. They are the babies of this species. Please do not be weird about this. Please do not make me need to ban you for this. So, please just respect me on that one. You gosh darn little weirdo. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to sub and like And thanks to my shrimp sims, Rask, Ver, WildKitty69, Beef, Bait, Cryptid Artha, Sly, Colorado Blue, Vaderson, Linky, Malding Brick, Spikejack, and Copyleft. If you want to help me make videos like this, then check out my Patreon on one of the paid tiers or become a channel member on YouTube. I'll see you later. Stay fresh. God help you if I find out that you're frozen or rotten. You'll just be so done, I'll shut down the entire place.